Alright everyone, so we're back with a new video. For this video, I am tattooing Robert De Niro from The Godfather. I've never seen The Godfather movie. Let me know down below in the comment section if I should watch it. I think I did watch, I think it was a movie on the production of The Godfather and all the stuff that went on, like while they were filming it and stuff. That one was actually good. Now I just gotta watch Godfather. But my goal lately has been to kind of try to get better at portraits and bring out the highest quality of portraits while I tattoo them, basically. And I feel like for the next year I'm gonna just lock in on portraits. So if you guys wanna be in this journey with me on improving my portraits as best as I can, follow me, comment down below if you guys want to know any of these things that I'm doing to get better at them. Basically, I'm just trying to take my stencil application and me actually stenciling these portraits as best as I can to get them as clear as I can when I tattoo them, and that's literally the goal. So if you guys want to improve with me, comment down below what you guys kind of want to learn. I'll talk about it, show you guys the different things I'm doing with actual tattooing. But basically that's pretty much it. Just taking my time, pushing 8 to 12 hours on a single portrait to get it as best as I can. That's the main goal, and just taking my time. And then eventually I'll get a little bit faster with them. This one took me about 8 hours. I felt like I kind of went through it pretty quick. Just that the thigh gets really red. At least for this person it did. But pretty much I used the wand shader, and I used the Sol Nova kind of then for the hair and a little bit of the face, more towards the end because the shader died, the battery pack died on it, so I went to the Sol Nova after. But for the most part it was all shader on the face with all quadranitos, mags and liners. And I felt like I just let my tones settle a little bit more this time. For the next one, I think I am doing another portrait next week, and I'll post that video also. But besides that, I want to get into these stories. I want to get into these Reddit stories and just kind of see what crazy stories people have on clients or anything like that. So the first story is going to be from this one. It says tattooer Das Frank. This one's from 6 years ago, so I don't know how it's gonna apply to now or if things changed, because 6 years ago was a while ago. Alright, so it says, I spent the better part of the workday freehanding and outlining a dragon back piece on a woman in her early 20s. She had several pieces on her back she had received from a kitchen wizard that we were covering as well, so that raised the difficulty level a couple notches. Her boyfriend and best friend hung out, chatted and watched movies all evening while we worked. All in all, not a bad time, until it was time to pay. As we finished up and put the bandage on, she turned to me and said, "So, I get paid next Tuesday. Is it okay if I come back then and pay you?" I laughed because obviously she was joking. She had to be joking. She better be joking. When I realized she wasn't, I said, "No, that's not how this works. Somebody is going to pay for any of you leave." She turned to her boyfriend and asked, "You got this, right?" He laughed and said, "I don't have any money." She looked to her best friend, who conveniently found something interesting on the ceiling, so she was no help. The client then turned back to me, puffed a bit, trying to look more serious than I did, and asked, "Well, what are you going to do if we just leave? You can't keep us here." I figured this was going to be her next course of action. She was right. I couldn't detain them. It gets into a gray area near the border of kidnapping and not something I wanted a chance. But what I did do was point to her that I had her release form with all her information and photocopy of her ID. I let her know the second they walked out the door I would contact the police and report them for theft of services. The story's not over. I'm still going to go. But yeah, as a tattoo artist, make sure you guys get the ID copy, all the information, so if cops do come and get called, you have all their information already. And I think if people don't pay you, I think you could find a way to mess with their credit and stuff like that. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but I think it's possible. Alright, so thinking it over for a few minutes, they sat back down and she started making phone calls trying to scrape together the cash to avoid police involvement. About an hour later, an hour past closing, a guy shows up with a fistful of bills for me, and that's when all hell breaks loose. Her last ditch effort, it seemed, was to call the guy she was cheating on her boyfriend with. The guy throws the money on the counter and starts screaming match with the client and the boyfriend, while the best friend just stands there yelling at everyone. Somehow I managed to wrangle this herd of cats out the door so I can lock up the shop. By the time I got everything closed down, the screaming match had turned into a fist fight in the parking lot, and someone at the fast food joint a few doors down called the cops anyways. Shop locked up, money in hand. I left and let the cops do their thing. Thankfully, I never saw them again. That's a super random story, but working at a walk-in shop, you get like super random stories like that where people come in and do some weird stuff like that. And I feel like for most tattooers, either tattooing in a walk-in shop, like a very active walk-in shop, or working from home, you get random stories like that, because I feel like when you're kind of starting, a lot of your clientele is way different, and a lot of them are looking for a come up, cheaper prices, or I don't know what this girl was doing, but I don't know if she thought she was about to get a free tattoo or if what was about to happen, but one thing, always get the payment up front from all your clients, unless it's a super good client. But even then, I still take it up front, because you never know when something might have, if they're sending you Zelle or through a account or something like that, you never know when their accounts might mess up or something's lagging or anything like that. So this is another one from a person. They say they're not an artist. So it says they spend a lot of time in shops. So this one girl, let me start all over. So it says, not an artist, but I spent a lot of time in shops. This one girl came in one day to get an outline for this absolutely massive back piece. Some wings. The artist who's going to do the piece keeps telling us how hot she is and how excited he is to do it. She comes in and she is gorgeous. She takes her shirt completely off and unhooks her bra. The artist shoots us all this creeper grin. Then he starts the first line. The girl starts full on screaming. I never heard anything like it. Just a continuous scream the entire time. The needle is touching her skin. Then every 10 seconds she would decide that she had enough, and without warning she would try to wiggle away. Each time the guy would almost mess up a line and freak out. She's crying on the ground with the artist screaming at her about how he's never going to be able to finish, and if she doesn't stop, he's kicking her out. He had barely finished a single feather. The girl promises to be better and lay down. The guy starts the gun again and is about to start when she lets out another scream. He hasn't even touched her yet. He slowly takes off his glove, packs up his kit, and tells her to leave. So that kind of, I've never actually seen that happen, but I'm pretty sure that happens a lot with people when they're getting a tattoo, especially when they start getting it like on really bad parts. They don't really know what they're in for, and a lot of people's pain tolerance is not that great. So that for sure happens a lot. I've seen dudes go get tatted and they're gonna get their first tattoo and they try to get like a quarter sleeve, and once they start at the wrist, these guys start dying and moving and passing out. One time I had one client, he was getting his quarter sleeve for his first tattoo, and I remember he was doing good and I saw him getting kind of pale, so I told him like, are you okay? And he said, I gotta use the restroom. But I had a feeling he was a little weird, and his friend was there too, so I told his friend, I'm like, I think he's gonna pass out or something. But he went to the restroom, and when he came back out, he said he was feeling weird. We got him some soda. He came back to it. So his friend's laughing. He didn't pass out. Then I start going in again. Same thing happens again. He almost passes out for the second time. And at that point, I was kind of iffy about still tattooing him, so I let him know if it kind of happens one more time, we might have to call it. And the third time happened. The third time it didn't happen. He didn't almost pass out. We started tattooing, and he pushed himself through it. but sometimes certain spots hurt really bad where it messes with your body, and even if you don't want to pass or you don't want to tap, it's just your body. Alright, so I'm gonna say about 2 more stories, then I want you guys to comment down below what you thought about the stories. Let me know if there's something you guys want to learn, some other things you guys want to talk to me about. Not in it. Alright, so I'm gonna read about 2 other stories, then I want you guys to comment down below what you think on the stories. If you guys got your own stories, comment them down below or hit the DM on my Instagram and let me know your stories, your experiences, and we could talk about them. So this guy, his name's Rob, he said I was 15 doing work experience in a tattoo studio in Ireland. Straight in Ireland, okay? My boss at the time was a French dude. My boss tattooed an outline of the shape of Ireland on some middle-aged dude's arm. Once it's done, the client thanks him and leaves. It must have been a day or 2 later, the guy comes back furious and claims he tattooed the map backwards. Everyone in the shop starts giving him funny looks as we explain that it's perfectly fine, but he starts storming over to the mirror and is like, no, look, it's backwards. We try to explain to him it's only backwards because of the reflection in the mirror. The dude doesn't understand and starts calling us names. We figure there's no point with arguing with the dude and we tell him to get out, and he does, but claims he'll be back with a lawyer. We never heard from him again. So that's like, at that point, I think I would just make fun of the dude. Because how did he like get it in his mind once he got home? Basically, he convinced himself that it was backwards and kept looking in the mirror instead of asking for other people around him for like some advice or to look at it, basically. And the crazy part is this, like, stuff like this happens a lot. Like, I've seen this happen where like really happens, where people put it backwards and they look in the mirror and it looks correct. So if you're looking in the mirror at a tattoo and if it looks backwards, most likely it's correct. If you look in a mirror and it looks how it should look, that means it's backwards. And I've seen people actually do that. I've seen guys have certain little small tattoos they do on themselves and they put it backwards, and when they go in the mirror, I'm assuming they put the tattoo on, they look in the mirror and they see it's backwards, so they change it and they look in the mirror and now supposedly it looks correct, and they tattoo it, and when they look at it without the mirror, it is backwards. So that kind of happens a lot. So if you guys are watching this, do not tattoo stuff backwards. Always make sure it's the correct way and make sure you understand how a mirror works. Alright, let's do another one. I don't want to read too I don't want to get some long stories. Some of these are long and they kind of drag on a little bit too much. The shorter ones are a little bit more interesting for me. Alright, so this is the last thing I'm going to talk about. This one isn't really too crazy of a story, but I think it's pretty interesting and I want to know what you guys think as a tattoo artist. If you guys are an artist, or even if you're not an artist, just let me know what you think about this. So this guy said, I recently got a leg tattoo on the side of my calf of a tattoo I thought it was cool. But the more I look at it, the more I hate it. I want to cover it up with a nice American traditional lighthouse, but I'm worried and not gonna, I don't know what he's trying to say here. But he wants to ask the original artist to cover up his own work. Is it rude if I ask them to cover it up? So honestly, I feel like if you're getting a cover up by the same artist for a tattoo they did, if it's super simple type of thing where you kind of grew out of that kind of phase or whatever it is, I feel like it is what it is. Me as an artist, like if someone came to me and wanted to cover up for whatever reason, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I would do it just because at the end of the day they're gonna pay for their tattoo. And if they're coming back to me, that means they like my work already anyways. So whatever their reason is for covering it up, that's their reason. The only thing with me, whenever I tattoo everything, you know, super saturated, super dark, as in like my blacks if I'm doing outlines or names. so it would probably be pretty hard to cover up one of my own tattoos unless it's super small. But honestly, I do not think it's rude or weird or anything. I think it'll be worse if you go to another tattoo artist and get something covered up, because that seems worse. That makes the artist feel, I think that'll make the artist feel like their tattoo sucked and that you just wanted to get it covered up. But anyways, let me know down below what kind of stories you guys got. Also remember, when you guys are tattooing portraits, always remember to have a good reference, super good stencil. Take your time on your stencils. This Robert De Niro stencil that I did, I literally stenciled it out like a week before and really took my time to make sure I got it how I wanted to, and if I feel like I needed to change something, I could do it ahead of time. I feel like when you stencil things the same day, you're more in a rush because your client's there. If you have everything ready, you're more worried about just doing the actual tattoo. And for this one, I kind of relaxed a little bit more and just watched how my tones of shading kind of settled in and pushed off them a little bit more, started saturating things a little bit more and just kind of seeing what it does, and really studied the skin and everything about it. So really take your time with these things. You know, find the needles that you feel comfortable with. Just because I use these needles doesn't mean they're gonna help you the exact same way. So take your time with it and like the video. Go check out my last recent videos. The couple payaso ones did pretty cool. Hopefully you guys like this one, and let me know what you guys want me to talk about on the next video. The next one's gonna be a little bit cool. If you guys want me to get more into like the hair part and stuff, it's just sometimes it gets frustrating for me to like do hair. So like I move the camera so I don't have to worry about the camera being in my way, and I just try to lock in as best as I can. More with the shading, it's a little bit easier because I'm kind of just bumping up tones. But hair's tough for me too. I just kind of gotta figure out a way to like mold it and get it to the way that I want. But I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Peace out.